40 meters of Baltic seawater pressed down on a concrete floor that once trembled with the sound of stamping presses and grinding lathes. Rust coats every surface in shades of orange and black. Assembly lines stretch into green darkness, their conveyor belts seized mid-rotation. Tool racks stand intact against the walls. Workbenches hold components that were never finished. This weapons factory stopped production in April 1945, and the ocean claimed it within hours. The facility lies 3 kilometers offshore, buried beneath silt and fishing nets for 8 decades. Sonar scans detected the rectangular foundation in 2019, but the building's interior remained unknown until dive teams descended last year. What they found wasn't rubble or scattered debris. They found a factory frozen at the exact moment workers received evacuation orders and walked away from their stations forever. The main production hall measures 90 meters long and 30 wide. Steel support columns rise from the concrete every 8 meters. Their base is corroded but structurally sound. Overhead tracks still hold chain hoists in place, rusted cables dangling into the water. 3 parallel assembly lines run the length of the room, each one dedicated to a different stage of production. The first line handled raw materials. Metal stock bins sit overturned near the entrance, their contents long dissolved or scattered. Cutting stations occupy the first 20 meters, equipped with band saws and shearing machines bolted directly to reinforced floor plates. Brass shavings coat the area around one saw, undisturbed by current. A metal cart rests nearby, half filled with cylindrical blanks approximately 30 millimeters in diameter. The second line focused on machining and shaping. Lathes dominate this section, spaced 2 meters apart in a precise row. Their chuck jaws remain open, some still gripping corroded metal rods. Coolant reservoirs sit empty beside each machine, their pipes twisted and broken. One lathe shows clear evidence of a catastrophic jam, the workpiece bent at an unnatural angle, never removed, never repaired. Production stopped here mid-shift. The third line completed final assembly. Smaller workbenches replaced the heavy machinery, each station equipped with vices, hand tools, and inspection gauges. Wire bins attached to the benches still contain springs, pins, and fasteners sorted by size. A wooden stool lies toppled beside one bench. The floor around it shows drag marks where someone pushed away quickly. Lighting fixtures hang from the ceiling at regular intervals, their glass shattered and frames warped. Electrical conduit runs along the walls in organized channels, feeding power to each station. Junction boxes remain sealed, their contents protected from seawater by thick rubber gaskets that finally failed decades after submersion. A main circuit panel stands open near the western wall, its breakers all switched to the off position. Someone took the time to shut down the power grid before the flood. Individual workstations reveal the factory's specific output. Drill presses occupy the northern corner, their tables still holding partially completed components. These are ammunition parts, shell casings in various stages of completion, some showing primer pockets drilled and chamfered, others waiting for final inspection. The drilling patterns match small caliber rifle rounds, most likely for the standard infantry weapon of the period. A larger press station sits isolated in the center of the hall. This machine shaped brass into cartridge cases through progressive dies. The press remains locked in the down position, a half-formed casing still trapped in the lower die. 4 additional dies rest on a nearby table, arranged in order of operation. The progression shows raw brass discs transformed into cupped cylinders, then drawn to full length, then trimmed and shaped. Each die represents a single stage in converting flat metal into ammunition components. Inspection stations line the eastern wall. These benches hold calipers, micrometers, and fixed gauges for quality control. A metal tray contains rejected casings, their defects still visible. Split walls, off-center primer pockets, dimensional errors that would have caused weapon malfunctions. The rejection rate appears high, approximately 1 in 10 pieces set aside for rework or scrap. Further along, a station dedicated to primer assembly sits undisturbed. Small circular cups rest in organized trays, each one designed to hold the impact-sensitive compound that ignites the powder charge. The actual explosive material dissolved long ago, leaving only the metal shells. A hydraulic press used for seating primers into case heads stands beside the bench, its ram extended halfway. Someone stopped mid-operation. The machinery shows wear patterns consistent with continuous operation. Bearing surfaces display grooves from repetitive motion. Adjustment wheels show fingerprints worn into the metal from constant handling. These machines ran day and night, operated by workers who understood their tolerances and limitations. The factory didn't produce experimental prototypes or specialty items. It manufactured ammunition at industrial scale, feeding a war machine that consumed bullets faster than factories could replace them. The western wall holds floor-to-ceiling storage racks constructed from welded angle iron. Each shelf spans 4 meters and holds organized rows of hand tools, precision instruments, and replacement parts. The organization remains intact. Wrenches arranged by size, screwdrivers grouped by head type, files sorted by cut and shape. Metal tags hang from each section, their stamped labels still legible despite corrosion. A rack near the main assembly line holds specialized tools for ammunition work. Bullet seating dies, case trimming tools, deburring bits, and primer pocket cleaners fill wooden trays. These aren't military-issue items. They're machinist-quality precision tools, the kind that cost significant money and required trained hands to use properly. The factory employed skilled workers, not conscripted labor forced through basic training. Measurement instruments occupy a locked cabinet with glass doors, now shattered. Micrometers calibrated to hundredths of a millimeter rest in felt-lined cases. Gauge blocks for setting machine tolerances sit stacked in sets. A height gauge stands on the cabinet floor, its scribing point bent, but otherwise intact. Quality control mattered here. Ammunition that failed specifications could jam weapons or cause barrel explosions. Every component needed verification before moving to final assembly. Spare parts fill lower shelves, replacement belts, bearings, cutting tools, grinding wheels. A section holds motor brushes for the electric machines, stored in sealed containers that kept moisture out for decades before finally failing. The quantity of spares suggests the factory operated far from supply lines. They couldn't afford downtime waiting for replacement components to arrive. A maintenance logbook rests on a small desk beside the tool racks, its pages dissolved into pulp, but the metal spine and corner reinforcements remain. A pencil still sits in the desk's groove, its wooden body gone, leaving only the graphite core and metal ferrule. Someone kept detailed records of machine performance, repair schedules, and production output. That information disappeared into the water within days of flooding. The factory wasn't bombed. Its walls show no blast damage, no collapsed sections from aerial attack. The destruction came from below, through deliberately opened floodgates in the facility's foundation. The building sat on reclaimed marshland, protected by earthen levees and a pumping system that kept groundwater at bay. When evacuation orders arrived in late April 1945, engineers reversed the system. Marks on the exterior walls show where water entered, through drainage ports near the floor, through ventilation shafts, through deliberately opened maintenance hatches. The flood rose slowly enough that workers could evacuate, but fast enough to prevent enemy forces from salvaging equipment. Within 6 hours, the entire facility sat underwater. Within a week, sediment began covering the foundation. Within a month, the building disappeared beneath the seafloor. This wasn't panic or chaos. It was calculated denial of resources. The retreating military command understood they couldn't hold this territory. They couldn't evacuate the machinery. They couldn't destroy it fast enough with explosives without risking worker casualties. So they drowned it. The factory became a sealed chamber, its contents preserved in cold, oxygen-poor water that prevented rapid corrosion. Maps from the period show the area marked as flooded marshland by summer 1945. No structures indicated, no industrial sites noted. The factory vanished from official records, its location forgotten as borders shifted and governments changed. Former workers who survived the war rarely spoke about the facility. Many assumed it had been demolished or dismantled after occupation. None knew it remained intact beneath the waves. The components scattered across workbenches and assembly lines tell a clear story. This factory produced rifle ammunition, millions of rounds intended for standard infantry weapons. Shell casings measure between 7 and 8 millimeters in diameter, consistent with the primary rifle cartridge used by forces in this region during the war's final years. Production volume appears enormous. Each assembly line could complete approximately 2,000 rounds per shift. With 3 shifts running daily, the facility likely output 50 to 60,000 rounds every 24 hours. At that pace, a single month of operation produced nearly 2 million cartridges. The factory ran for at least 18 months based on wear patterns in the machinery and sediment layers in the surrounding structure. Beyond ammunition, evidence suggests some production of weapon components. A separate workbench holds trigger assemblies in various stages of completion. These parts fit the standard bolt-action rifle of the period, specifically the trigger housing, sear, and safety mechanism. Quality appears high: precision machining, careful fitting, proper hardening of contact surfaces. These weren't field repairs or improvised parts. They were factory specification components meant for new weapon production or depot-level repairs. Artillery fuses occupy another section of the factory. These devices screw into the nose of artillery shells and detonate the main charge on impact. The fuses here are mechanical impact types, a firing pin held back by a spring-loaded safety, released by sudden deceleration when the shell strikes its target. Fuse production requires extreme precision. A safety mechanism that releases too easily causes premature detonation. One that's too stiff results in unexploded shells. The reject pile at the inspection station shows both failure modes: springs too weak, springs too strong, pins that bind in their channels. No finished ammunition remains. The factory produced components, not complete cartridges. Final assembly happened elsewhere, at facilities closer to the front lines, where completed ammunition could be distributed directly to combat units. This factory fed the supply chain, producing the pieces that other facilities combined into finished products. Most submerged industrial sites collapse within decades. Structural steel corrodes, concrete spalls, machinery fragments into unrecognizable debris. This factory survived because the flooding was controlled, the water chemistry stable, and the sediment coverage rapid. Anaerobic conditions prevented the worst corrosion. The building became a time capsule, sealed against the decay that destroys exposed wrecks. Every machine remains where workers bolted it to the floor in 1943. Every tool rack stands in its original position. The spatial organization of the facility, raw materials entering from the east, finished components exiting to the west, remains completely legible. A historian could walk this floor and reconstruct the entire production process from physical evidence alone. The human elements dissolved first. Wooden stools, paper records, fabric tool rolls, leather machine belts, organic materials that couldn't survive prolonged submersion. What remains is metal, concrete, and glass, the durable skeleton of industry, stripped of anything soft or perishable. The workers left behind their tools and machines, but not themselves. No personal effects, no clothing, no identification. They evacuated completely, taking only what they could carry. Sediment covers the floor in layers, each one representing a year of accumulation. The deepest layer, directly on the concrete, contains fragments from the factory's final days. Metal shavings, spilled fasteners, broken cutting tools. Upper layers show only marine sediment and the slow rain of particles from above. The factory stopped contributing to its own burial decades ago. Now it simply exists, a silent witness to a moment in history when production mattered more than profit, when factories ran until the enemy arrived at the gates, when entire industrial complexes disappeared into the sea rather than fall into opposing hands. The machines will never turn again. The assembly lines will never resume their rhythm. But the factory stands as complete documentation of wartime manufacturing. Every station, every tool, every component preserved in the cold darkness where light never reaches and time moves differently than in the world above.